Hello, Dr. Cisse covering anatomy and physiology. I will do a quick review on blood. Before we start, what is blood? What is the blood made of? Why do we have blood? Blood is a connective tissue, a liquid connective tissue made of three things: ground substance, cells, and fibers. The ground substance is called plasma. It's the water part of the blood. The cells are red blood cells and white blood cells. And the fibers are fibrins in the blood. Why do we have blood? Blood is there to carry things like nutrients, hormones, oxygen, carbon dioxide, to remove waste from our body and to protect us. What are the different types of blood cells in blood? The red blood cells, their job to take oxygen in, carbon dioxide out. What about the white blood cells? The white blood cells are there to protect us against bacteria, against viruses, against different things. So they kill even foreign body, even your own body cell, for example, cancer cells. So that's going to be the white blood cells. So the making of blood itself is called hemopoiesis. Now, in adults, blood is made from the red bone marrow. That's called the myeloid hemopoiesis. That means the making of blood from the bone marrow. All the bone cells, blood cells are made in the bone. So when blood is made, it comes with the cells, the ground substance, and the fibers. Okay? Next thing. When you look at the composition of blood, you take plasma, which is the ground substance, and the cell and fibers. The plasma itself contains different things, including proteins like albumin and globulin. So albumin is the most, like 70 or 80% of the protein is albumin. So it's the most abundant type of proteins in the plasma. And it has fibers also, because you only remove the cell to make that, right? The red blood cell and the white blood cells. In the plasma, if I remove all the fibers, then the plasma is called serum. Okay? That's going to be the next thing to know. Now, the concept I want to explain here is the viscosity of blood, like the thickness of blood, and the colloid osmotic pressure. What is that? Colloid, from the Latin word colloid, means col, which is the glue. Osmotic, we talked about osmosis before. Osmosis is the movement of water from the area of low concentration to high concentration. Water goes to the place where there's no water. So if blood is very thick, right, it will attract water, it will pull water. So the power to pull water, because of the thickness, right, of the blood, is called the colloid osmotic pressure. What can increase and what can decrease? We talk about protein. If you eat something with a lot of protein, let's say a lot of meat, for example, it's very rich in protein, it will make the blood thicker and it will increase the colloid osmotic pressure. It will make the blood so concentrated, it will pull more water into the blood. So we need to know what is colloid osmotic pressure. Is the power to pull water, remember osmosis, and it gets increased when the blood is concentrated. Of course, protein can concentrate blood. That makes sense, right? Next, plasma and serum. If I remove the fibers, I make from those plasma, I make serum. Okay, red blood cell, we talk about how long the red blood cells live, 120 days. What does it do? Take oxygen in, carbon dioxide out. Where do the red blood cells die? In the spleen. So they are born in the bone marrow, they run in the blood for 120 days, and they die in the spleen. Now, we talk about also the kidney in the function of blood maintenance. Why we talk about the kidney a lot? The heart is there to pump blood. Yes, it is important. But guess what? We talk about the kidney being the most important organ when we talk about blood composition. For example, somebody who doesn't have enough blood cells, red blood cells, for example, anemia. Why? Because the kidneys produce hormone called erythropoietin that will go to the red bone marrow to push them to make more red blood cells. That is why kidney failure can affect the blood composition. Specifically, the red blood cells If they're low, we call them anemia. What about the white blood cells? We talk about 5 different kind of white blood cells. We talk about neutrophil, eosinophil, and basophil, and then lymphocyte and monocyte. What you need to know about them, you need to know that the lymphocytes live the longest. Okay, that live the longest. Remember, we have T lymphocyte and B lymphocyte. The T lymphocyte, called T because they were in the thymus. The thymus is an organ, like an organ on top of the heart, right? Remember, we say it goes through involution. They get smaller as you grow. So the thymus, when the T lymphocyte grow, the lymphocyte grow to become T lymphocyte. The B lymphocyte grow in the bone marrow. Both of them are different type of white blood cells, but they're just specific name as lymphocyte T or B lymphocyte. Now, what is the connection between the T lymphocyte, which is the white blood cells, and the defense, the immune system? Because the immune system is the defense system. So the lymphocyte, white blood cell in blood, this part of the blood, their function is to protect your body against foreign body, against bacteria, against your own cells that can be damaged. So that tells you that blood contains things that do other jobs. For example, the T lymphocyte do protect you, right? In summary, we need to know that albumin, in plasma, we have different type of protein, albumin, globulin. So albumin is the most abundant, 70 to 80% is. We need to know the colloid osmotic pressure, which is the capacity, the ability for blood to pull water. It gets high when the blood is very rich in protein. Of course, if you eat red meat, it'll be rich in protein. It increases the colloid osmotic pressure, okay? We need to also know the fibrinogen, little fibrin in blood, in plasma. If I remove fibrin, I mix what? Serum, okay? And then the least common type of white blood cell are basophil. That's gonna be a normal person, right? Somebody who's healthy, right? So I think these are the basic idea we need to know, right? What is blood? Blood, you know, we need to emphasize that the kidney is very important, and then we need to know that the albumin is the most abundant type of protein in the plasma, okay? Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.